Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We are here at our home out of the Rail in Fort Worth, Texas. Visit therail.net for all the shows to come to something cool. But we took a little break. We're back. Episode 141. And I'm kind of pumped because I feel like I got some people who have been in and around the scene for quite a bit of time. And they started something really cool. But we got Scorned Productions in the house. We got Stephy and Jae. How are y'all?
We are great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. Yeah. No one's going to know that I took a break because I delayed all the episodes.
That's all right.
So
you know, and we know.
I took a much needed little break, and it was fun, but I was glad to be back. But thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to just get into a little bit of first how this started. First I want to talk. I didn't say this before when we were talking, but I've known of both of you for a little bit, but I know Jae, your name's been around for a while. When I first got into, because I always I've said this before, I got into the scene pretty late.
Yeah.
But as far as your work, and I knew you as doing photography and stuff like that. But your name popped up with a lot of big shows, and this was when one of the few first people that I started seeing you can. You can shoot cool shows like that, and then you were around the scene that I was getting into, and I'm like, that's crazy, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, is that one of the biggest ways that you kind of decided to, or both of you decided, actually, let's just start there.
Yeah.
Scorned Productions, how do you two come up with the idea of let's do this and together?
Well, so I had moved to the UK in 2018. I was there for 5 years, and I actually started booking shows with a similar kind of thing as what we have here. It was called Nail Biter Productions, and I love my cool. nail biter girls. I miss them so much, but it was an all-female team just working with locals. And, when I came back, I knew I wanted to throw myself back into it, and we both moved back to the area within
a week.
A week of each other.
And neither of us knew that we were moving back to the DFW area.
I had every intention of going back to the UK. You didn't know you were leaving Austin. Yeah. So it was just perfect timing on every front. Yeah. And we just got to talking, and we're like, you know what? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just make this happen?
We are not happy with how things are going, and want to help our friends, NoiseROT, that are doing things the way that we like. And there are just so many bands out here that it's hard for any one production company to be able to cover everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're spoiled for choice in DFW. In Texas as a whole, we are so spoiled.
And the connection with Oklahoma and Louisiana and Arkansas, they're all right here too. And so there are just a lot of bands that we wanted to make sure still had a platform to kind of stand on. But yeah, I was coming back from Austin, had no idea I was coming back. Jae had just moved back. We've been friends since a Sniper 66 show in 2016 or something. We've been friends for quite some time. And we just, when we were both going through really difficult periods, we kind of, we talked to each other a lot and we grieved a lot together and said, fuck it. I literally called her up one day and I was like, what do you think about us doing this? And she was like, duh. There was no hesitation. It's aren't we're kind of already trying to do this. It was just kind of a natural flow of how things happened. And with the whole company and everything has been a very natural progression. Everything has gone a very organic way for us. And we've been really, really, really thankful for that.
Yeah. Definitely for the bands and the fans.
Nope.
Yeah.
Always.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's OC, your host for the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. And I know what you're saying. Another ad on this podcast. Yes, but this one, you can help support the podcast. You might be seeing these beautiful Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast hats here on the table, where they're not just for decoration. We're selling these hoes, okay? This podcast, I don't get paid for this, so I need some money. Let's try to do that again. Less desperate. These hats look very cool, and it would be very cool of you to buy one to put on your head and look even more cool than you already do, all right? If you want to tell people that you have impeccable taste, that you listen to all types of music, and you listen to the best podcast in the entire world or tri-state area, or maybe just this area here, this is the best podcast in this room, probably, then you should get one of these hats so that you can help support a local business and a local podcast, and so you can help support artists to come here and talk shit. Okay, that's the whole point of this. But yes, go to NoiseROT.com to pick out your Chill Sounds and Breakdowns hat or other merch. We got stickers, we got pins. Pick something up, and thank you for supporting the podcast. I love two things about that. One is I love the fact it's like, he's like, why don't we just do this? Because that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
That's exactly how NoiseROT started. He's like, you want to just do this like ourselves? And I'm like, yeah, like let's just fucking do it.
Well,
like,
and you guys a lot inspired me because we lived next door to each other when you guys started really talking about all of that and hanging out with you and DJ and Bernice and just seeing that and seeing even what Jesse did was like, oh shit, my friends that I've been in the same music scene with since we were all, you know, like 18 years old, they're doing it. I've been trying to help bands since 1919 and 2013 and 2014.
wow.
Why not just do this?
Yeah.
And it's been the best almost 2 years and the most fulfilling almost 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
And when I started doing it in the UK, I loved getting to do it in the UK. The scene is so different there. Bands don't take themselves quite so seriously over there. You have bands like Raised by Owls, who I got to work with.
Yeah.
Ridiculous group of guys. They literally bring out like double-ended dildos and swing them around in the crowd, and like they give out like toys as prizes for silly shit at their show. It's just so much fun, and that's kind of the air at any like UK local show.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but think like the whole time I'm booking bands out there, I'd love to be doing this in Texas, you know, with the scene that I grew up in and that I've been involved in for 18 years now. Oh my God, we're getting old. Oh my gosh, yeah. So
What's 30?
I started, girl, I'm creeping up on 35. It's,
Same.
hey.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. All alleged. Listen,
All
birth
alleged.
certificate cannot be confirmed or denied.
But no, that wanting to be part of your own scene is a big was a big factor. I know for us, and I like that it's the same for you. But and it's something that I guess it doesn't, to me, didn't make sense till it made sense. Where it's like, oh, we could. I've been a part of the other side. Like I've been in a band and stuff like that, and I've just been participating and working by. Not in a cynical way, but I've been working by everybody else's rules. It's like, oh, and when I started, and even thinking about when I first started to now, and being like, oh, this is the way shows work because this is the way the person who booked this show is telling me it does, you know. So, and then going like that forever, and then being out of a band, and then now being like, oh, you can do things however you want.
You
know
want.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
And just a simple thing of oh, how, what would I find convenient? What would help me? What would I want out of whoever's booking my shows? Yeah. Even to the point of as a new band, like I said, I feel like I came in really late. I was probably 24, 25 when I actually got into the scene sort of.
Right.
And that was when I was starting a band. So I didn't know okay, who do you talk to book a show,
Yeah.
When I had a band in high school, it was when the door in Fort Worth was dying. So you would just look on, this is gonna date, and this is gonna show that I am creeping on 35. But they had not a Facebook, they had a MySpace. They had dates open with blank spaces, and you would just message them and be like, can I be this blank space? And you're like, yeah.
Oh,
so I'm like, is that how you do it?
Yeah,
But that was a good 6 years before I started.
Wow.
In the actual scene now, and being part of it. Okay, who do you talk to? So even that, making it easier for bands is oh, who do you know? How do you get on shows?
Yeah. And I think kind of taking out some of the guesswork, making it more accessible to hop on shows and stuff, because again, we're spoiled for choice here.
It's a lot.
And we're seeing, especially at the punk shows that we do, we're seeing this next generation of kids coming in.
So cool.
And we're
I know you
booking
guys
this
see it
next
too.
generation of kids. It's so cool to see. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
Well,
it.
not just are they ridiculously talented for some reason, but they're also just very genuine, and they're all in it for what
The
seem
right
like to be the
reasons.
right reasons at that age. Because when I was that age and I was trying to be in a band and I was playing shows and I was 15, 16 years old. You're right. There was no guidance. We didn't have a streamlined, easy way to set up, oh, hey, shows. It's funny you bring up the door in Fort Worth. My dad, I used to go to his shows when he played there in the early 2000s. And so that really was, a foundation for me too. And just seeing that culture from a literal child all the way up, it just makes it to where we really strive to make it as easy and seamless as possible for people that, and some people don't even know what other bands their band sounds like and what genre that they technically fit into, whatever that even means in the grand scheme of things. But And so we just like being there for the bands and making sure the fans have a lot of access to really cool shows with really happy and nice people.
Yeah, I find myself saying that a lot about like the younger generation and like I again, like I was like, oh, like it's like
so
what are we?
cool to see.
It's really but it's really cool to see, and I'm like, what do like? One as a fan, like kids going to their first shows and their local shows is fucking awesome. Like because again, like as someone who experienced their first concert as like this giant, I can't remember who I saw, but it was like a bigger ticket price. It was like an actual like bigger
stadium show
or something. So I'm like, oh, that's what a concert is, and that was ingrained in my brain for like ever until like I started. Okay, there's these like smaller clubs and like having some of the best like times at like these smaller venues to now like I ultimately prefer intimate smaller venues and shows. Like they're like 1,000 what percentage you want to say better than like a stadium show all the time. Like I'm happy that bands blow up and whatever, but being able to see some of those bands like small is.
I miss the Curtain Club.
Oh, the Curtain Club.
I miss
the Curtain
I miss Fat Daddy's, Eisenberg's. I miss the Door in the Profit Bar. I used to work at the Door in the Profit Bar, and I mean,
shit, we missed the Rail too when the Rail went down.
And we were talking about Tomcats on our way up here. The last show I think I went to at Tomcats was either that one right before that Ghost Inside accident, or like, oh no, it was a thing for Rustin. That was the last thing I ever went to at Tomcats, and then I moved, and and I'm glad Rail's kicking again.
Like back. It
so
looks
sick.
great.
Yeah, it looks fantastic in here. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely played like a lot of cool shit. But that's what showed me that like, oh, these are really fucking fun. And then on top of that, these are people like the local bands, or like these are bands that are in the same, like from the same place that I am, you know what I mean? And they're doing, again, like something that I went at the time, I was like, I always wanted to be in a band. I'm like, oh, these people, they just did it, you know? And they are playing like shows live, they're doing the thing. And then the other thing is like, you want to make sure these bands that you're saying like, oh, they're coming in with like the right intentions, like they are excited and happy to be a part of the scene. It's like, cool, like how do we not turn them into cynics?
Well, and how do we
create an environment? Like,
how do we make it safe?
How
do we show them by example, you know, how to treat other people in the scene and how to treat shows in the scene, and don't tag outside of a local venue across the building just because it's vacant, you know, like these are just little nuances and things that we all learned growing up, but this is their first experience doing this. So if we don't show them and we don't help lead by example, then they don't have anything to learn from. You know? And it took us going through a hell of a scene in the early and mid 2000s to figure that out.
And we've even talked about like how different what you consider the heyday was and how different what I consider the heyday was. Because we've experienced different scenes within the scene. I was a hardcore kid. She was in with like the folk punk and crust punk crews. We were on totally.
I showered, I promise.
I was like, what's the crust punk?
But we like heyday for me was anywhere between like 08, 09 to like 2012. Heyday for her starts in 2012, you know? And like just very different. So it's really cool to talk music with each other, even still, like 2 years in.
Because we have a lot that like coincides, and we have a lot of crossover, but we have like I had no idea who Botch was. And now Botch has listened to my band, which is like the craziest thing in the world for me. And so like, and then you didn't really know anything about Days and Days or Pat the Bunny
or Sister Wife, Sister Wife Sex Strike. We booked their show last year. One of the like last shows we had at Andy's before Andy's closed.
And we're booking them again in November.
Yeah, they're coming back in November. Excited to have them back. But yeah, it's just really cool to talk about just. I love the scene and all the phases it's been through, and I'm hoping that all of these closings for, you know, venues and stuff, I hope it doesn't keep up. We need the venues that we have. You know, we need to and maybe some new ones.
Drop some bombshells.
That is what our goal is right now, actually, is in the next 2 years max, we are looking to open up our own venue.
That's we would love.
That's fucking awesome.
Have, you know, opportunities for not just shows we want to throw and other promoters, but singer-songwriters and that kind of thing. Like we want it to be accessible to any genre of music, and And we have some cool ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to keep it under wraps, some of it, but we do really want to.
But it's one of like the ultimate goals for anybody like doing like you know, being a promoter, just throwing shows is like you run like every conversation like we end up having when we're having like booking, like the end of the day we're like, this would be way easier like if we had our
just
own
had a venue.
We had a venue, like we had a venue, like
Seriously.
let's fill this, like we could fill like dates up. Like I did a podcast with Ethan who runs the Rail now, but we were talking about wrestling, and he was talking about Tomcats, and he's like, wrestling would book 25 days out of the month had shows like at Tomcats, and he's like, people used to think Tomcats was like open as a bar because it was open pretty much every day, but it's just it had shows every day. It was only open for shows, but there was literally that many every month. But I'm like, but he had his own place, and again opened it to outside people, but then also booked everything else like himself. And like DJ's the one always was like early on, like he was the one who's like, we need our own like spot to do this, and it definitely like is our like on our goal like this, because that's the biggest thing with us. The only thing added they wanted to, because when we did NoiseROT, everybody like did like something different, but one of the big things that I want to do was like the kind of like the entertainment side of it. So like that's why the podcast is a thing. That's why we like do a lot of like this stuff. So like with the venue, same thing. I'm like, we could house everything out of there as well, and also make it accessible to other people like that want to do similar things. Do you I see what tangents, man, I swear they go So with starting and like now seeing, you know, you're about 2 years?
Almost 2 years. 2 years in October.
Okay. Yeah. And even like you just mentioned, like you have bands that you're booking, like again, like how does that feel? Like, do you guys get the feeling when people like come back? Is that like a really like nice feeling?
With
of like,
Sister Wife Sex Strike specifically, that was really, really exciting, because the first time they were sent to us from a friend of mine that's in Austin that I used to play shows with when I would travel down there. And, they sent them our direction, and we got along really well, and we booked them a great show, and they had a really good time out here. We were able to help like send them off the rest of their tour with a decent amount of money, which is always the freaking goal.
Absolutely.
And when they came back to us, it was like amazement, because I thought for some reason I was like, oh fuck, like it's always that second guess feeling of like, fuck, they hated us.
God, I'm such an idiot. I'm stumbling over my words that one time, and they're gonna hate me forever now.
But no, they hit us up and they were like, hey, we had a great time last time. We're coming back through in November if you guys can set us up. And I was like, fuck yes. Whatever you want.
But literally any band that is like, you know, we love working with you. Anytime we hear any positivity from bands, it just, we just found out we had
Facebook reviews.
Yeah, we have
reviews
on Facebook from bands
reviews?
that because I think at one point we were like, it showed like 0 out of 5 stars. And so we were like, hey, we should probably start being like, hey, if anybody wants to like come to shows and drop us a review or whatever. And then we checked, and there's like months and months of reviews and stuff. And we're like, oh my God, that's so cool.
I had no idea.
But we have Brave Days is another band that always, like, we love them. Yeah. They're the dudes. And they're always wanting us to help them book their shows and stuff like that. Literally any band that comes back to us and we're like, hey, you know, do you have a show we can hop on? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Anytime we can, we will.
It's a super like validating thing, you know, like I think that was the biggest thing that I saw, where like, oh, like bands wanting to work with us again. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it just, even if like, because I think there was like a moment, like I felt like we were going through like a rough patch, I thought. And then like, all these people, which again, like it's probably normal for most people, but
part of the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm just like, you know, why are we gonna do this? But then like consistently, these bands were like coming back to us and be like, we want to come through you again, through you, and I'm like, okay, so we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Like, although like, you know, whatever this like feels like we're not doing the right thing, I go, something's doing right, and I'm like, as long as we can do that for, you know, people coming to the shows and like, and bands like coming, like, okay, like we must be doing something.
I do think a big part of what I don't want to say sets us apart, because I don't think that's a really fair form of terminology, but something that we do, that we implement, is that we do a lot of stuff for charity and for benefit. And I feel like, luckily Jay lets me get my little activist heart out as much as I possibly can, but we try to stand for a lot of different groups and people, and like we did Trans Day Visibility at Rubber Gloves last
March 29th.
Yeah. And we were able to donate, almost $2,000 to.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
And so that was really, really
Love
just
our charity shows.
exciting for us because that's money that we know for a fact are going to people that really, really need it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we've said a million times, it's not about the money for us. We don't take a lot of home from this.
Yeah.
We don't do this because we want to get paid. We do it because we want to make sure that the scene is safe, that people are having good, healthy, happy, comfortable, fun fucking shows to go to, and that the bands are taken care of. Yeah. Because I remember growing up in the scene, trying to be a musician and an artist in the early 2010s, and it wasn't really like that. There weren't really people watching out. There were a couple. I can say Al Rios was definitely one of the good ones that was watching out for people in 1919. Him and his wife Lacey. And like Charlie D-Bolt definitely is someone that
Charlie.
we love Charlie a lot. And we just want to make sure that we're trying to, keep up with that, but also donate as much as we can to give back to the communities that really need it since we have the ability to.
Yeah. I mean,
1,000%.
it goes with the, like having a platform, no matter how, again, sometimes when you have these, you get in your head, and at least me personally, where I'm like, oh, it's not like I don't have a platform, like I like it, but you do,
But
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you do have this like place. So what can you do with it? You know what I mean? Like, and little bits. Like I know, I think we did like a Christmas show, and we just did like a food drive, and it ended up like getting crazy. Like, and we like working with this organization close to home. Also, like it was like a organization called Funky Town Fridge, but they just have like fridges around.
Love
town.
Funky Town Fridge.
They're great.
They're awesome.
They're great. And I've talked to the founder, and super awesome. But it was just a nice feeling. Like, we were able to. We did this.
Yep.
Like, all we did was throw a show. Like, and like people showed up, and then people got help. Like because of something that we helped do.
Yes.
So it's just keeping an eye on. Like, you can offer these like this help and do something with whatever platform you have, whether it's a band, whether it's promoter, and it's every little bit is kind of
absolutely
help.
Yeah.
I definitely try to throw some in my live shows, and then we throw a lot in with Scorned and just try to make that really a big focal point. Some of the cool ones we've done is we did one for disabled veterans. We did, and that was a toy drive that we did. We did one for
disabled veterans was separate. Toy drive was
Toy drive was right after that,
because that was like within a month.
And then Children's Cancer was right after that.
Children's Cancer Fund, and then we did the Trans Day Visibility.
Yep.
We have a couple more
coming up
too. Yeah, super cool.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah,
that's great. That's something in like focus for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you said you when you got into the scene, Steffi, is this you wanting to be like a musician or like getting into it as far as like the musician stands, or were you like going to shows first?
So it was actually kind of a little bit of both. I started playing music when I was 12, 13 years old, and by the time I was 15 and my mom had already passed, local scene was the only thing in the world that I had. And so this is 2011, 2012. I get invited to 1919 to go see a show, which was, the lineup was Dad's, Pity Sex, The World is a Beautiful Place and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die, 2 Nights, and I think Cat People. And it was a crazy first local show. And I want to say it was either 2012, 2013. And just seeing, how close the scene interacted with each other, I knew that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And it always has been. Being a musician has always been at the forefront of what I've wanted. I was the kid in high school that carried my big ass heavy leather guitar case with me literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Got made fun of for it relentlessly, well deserved, and would hide in the theater office room just to practice guitar because I knew that's all I wanted to do. But whenever Survey Says came down, and now they are Keep Flying, which I think you guys have gotten to work with them before. Henry Menzel's a great friend of mine. I've known Henry for over 10 years. And when they were in Survey Says, it was just a random thing that happened, but Henry was fucking dying, like really hot in there. There wasn't a good AC. Yeah. So I ran to the gas station, grabbed 2 jugs of water, ran it back, and I was just like, I just helped. How can I keep doing this? Like, that's when it clicked for me, and I was 16.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to do it as a musician, started playing shows there with Tim McAnally from Death Pact and Will Cawley from Death Pact right around the same period of time, and then started helping right around the same time. So they have always kind of coincided for me. It's always kind of been one and the same love of just the music scene is what I care about. Whether it's playing on stage or running behind it, it's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you start doing it in the UK, is this your first time like getting into like actually booking your own things, or was it like immediately when you get over there that you want to do this?
So I got over there, and I would say the first few years I was there, my focus was just on other things. And so I started, as far as when I was in the UK, I started like working I was the house photographer for a venue called the Cobblestones. And then I started helping out at a charity event, a charity festival. It's a 2-day festival that they have. My friends Max and Charlie over there, it's called Southwest Heavy Fest. And we were in the southwest of England, so it was all bands, you know, from our region, all different genres, kind of mixed bills sometimes. But then I started with the Nail Biter girls, and we all started booking the shows and stuff. But even before moving to the UK, I had worked for production companies, record labels, venues, all sorts. I had seen every single aspect of it. And so, sure, I didn't know all the dirty details of booking, but I had a good idea. And I knew that I was attention to detail oriented enough that that I think I had the brain for it. And then when I left the UK, Nail Biter just all but ceased to exist. They just didn't book anymore and everything. So I was like, I really want to keep that spirit alive and keep it going, you know. So, ta-da!
It was just perfect timing that I was having a manic fit and was like, do you just want to do this?
Let's just do this.
Can we just do this, please? And it was like, well, yeah, aren't we already doing
Some good
this?
ideas come out of those.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Honestly, it's you get good ideas. You just have, as long as you stick with them, then you're cool.
Yeah, and here we are 2 fucking years later.
I know. And like, I remember us being like, imagine what we're doing in a year. And it's like, man, look at us 2 years in.
2 years is way cooler than 1 year.
Yeah, definitely.
So you definitely have, like, you can see your progression. Like,
oh
pretty
my
clearly.
God.
Yeah. Even just in the 2 years. There's been a lot of, and I mean, it wasn't even that like we've ever had any shows that were disasters, you know,
Ever.
But it's like, as long as you learn from any mistakes, you know, and learn from others' mistakes, use that to better yourself and what you're doing, and stay in your lane, and you're good.
Is there any like stories that you learn from and do something different now that you can talk about?
There's a reason we don't do pay to play. I mean, I've had to be that guy who was like, hey, you were supposed to sell 20 tickets and you sold 18. You're not getting paid tonight. And I could never do that. I could never.
Especially to a minor that has to ask
like
their family for money.
I couldn't do that. So pay to play is a big one that we're just like, sorry. No.
You're completely anti-pay to play. I do like the mentality and the idea, not that we do it, but the idea of like, you know, people getting paid based off of how many people said they came to see them. And I have heard about that method, like a tally method, but we don't do that. We just kind of go off of, you know, headliner down. And, you know, if we're doing a charity show, everyone pretty much understands that we're donating everything to charity, but we have never had a single issue with a band that was caused between us and a band.
Yeah. And like,
ever.
It's more watching other people and learning from other people that I think we know the wrongs and rights because we've been on the receiving end. You know, and so we have tried to be smart and learn from other people's mistakes, but we're not perfect. You know, we've messed up set times, or, you know, like told somebody the wrong time for a load in, like minor things like that. Thankfully, knock on wood, no major mishaps.
That's good. Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah. Hey,
early.
2 years in, this is not. We're committed. All right, we're committed.
It's early.
You just gotta play through it. Yeah. No, I forgot what. I mean, we had like stuff like actually, Chill Sounds 2. Had a fucking shooting at the end of the night.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Which God, and it's. Again, you learn things. But it was free, so we did that one for free, and that was actually before NoiseROT. So DJ was kind of like putting it together on his own, and then it was free, so everybody could get in for free. And then it went later than what we planned on it. So like I think people saw there was something happening, came through, like people that didn't know anybody at the
Yeah.
playing or whatever, and some like altercation happens like out in the street, and like then like there's shooting while one of the bands is playing. We're just like, oh, the fuck, okay.
Yep.
But after that one, it's like, well, we can't do that again. You know, we can't, or we need to put in like further. So like, I think the following one we ended up doing at the Post, and like had like security and had all this stuff, a lot more like restrictions. But like, again, that was one that nobody like was like, who the fuck was like thinking that shit was gonna happen? I mean, luckily nobody got hurt or anything like that. But it was one of the big ones that I remember. Like, okay, we can't like do like okay, that shit that again like I didn't take into account, but it's like, okay, that's why you know people have security and things like this. But which is kind of shitty because like that was one of my favorite ones, except for that. I'm like, damn, people just ruining like you know other people's like great time. It just sucked. Yeah.
I think the only thing I can really think of that like we're like, ooh, we probably should have said something about that is whenever, and listen, I know like vibes and energy and I get it. And especially as a vocalist, just wait. Especially whenever a vocalist getting up there and really feeling it, please, in these small DIY venues, do not tell the crowd to rip each other's faces off and kill each other or fuck the place up or stuff like that. Cause we've had owners come to us and be like, could you ask the other bands not to say that, because like we don't want to have to replace equipment, you know. And it's like, oh yeah, we could probably. I think it was Tulips. I think our like I think it was Tulips. One of the bands was like, I want to see you like fuck each other up or something, and everybody's like, yeah, and everybody's like, we're like, no,
I'm pretty sure that's
Washing a lot in that venue.
Maybe it wasn't Tulip. No, because that would have been our first. I don't know. I can't remember what venue it was.
Here's
but.
like, with that, I mean, devil's advocate or whatever. Like, the crowd that's there and understands that, and you're like, okay, cool, you can yell that to those. Yeah. But the ones that don't, like.
And it's the few that ruin it for the many.
Yes, and it's not even that. Like, who did I see just recently? Actually, at Tulips.
That's funny.
Damn, I can't remember who it was, but they were playing, and there was a guy, and I was looking at it because I was looking at his mannerism, and I'm like, he looks like this is his like first time seeing like this kind of show.
Row.
Yeah, and I was just like, and he was right along the side of the pit, like we're next to me. So I'm like, I know I'm gonna get like someone like shoved into me, probably like someone's gonna hit the shit out of me.
Was that our show you came to?
No, I don't think so.
There was a really heavy show there, and I can't remember who.
I can't remember, but I remember like he gets like minorly like someone I think swung an arm and like kind of hit his shoulder or something like that, and I'm like, okay, it's whatever. Yeah. And then he like immediately runs into the crowd and tries to like hunt this guy down, like to just like beat him up, and I'm like, what do you do? Like in my head, I'm like, have you like? And then that's when I clicked. I was like, he definitely has not ever been to like a show like this before, because that was minor. You know what I mean? Like, but he went like right after him, and like people having to pull him off, and like he ended up getting kicked out or whatever. But that's the only like caveat I give. Like, okay, like everybody else like knows like if you wherever you're standing, like you probably, especially like again right there, like right in on the outside of the pit, you're gonna get
you're at risk. You're risk zone.
Yeah, at risk. Yeah.
You're in risk zone.
For sure.
I've definitely witnessed people getting hit and then not understanding what crowd killing is, and then freaking out and then trying to attack the person. Yeah. It's just like you go sit down.
And then there's several like instances, like crowd killing's a big one that like you teeter totter and like, okay, like what is like, I mean, I've never been part of like the crowd killing, I guess, like
culture.
You know what I mean? But I see it, I'm like, cool, and I understand like okay, like this is what happens here. But then I see somewhere I'm like, that might be too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I've seen an entire band get like blacklisted from a venue because they were crowd killing. And it was bad.
There's definitely limits, and I think when you're at the point that you're putting anybody's safety in jeopardy, there's a problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you're at the point that your fun is possibly going to send someone to the hospital with a brain fracture, a skull concussion, something like that. Like, it's a fucking issue.
The case I'm thinking about that happened.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, the girl she was fucked up and like had to have like total facial reconstruction surgery and all sorts of shit. And it's like, yes, you're having fun. Yes, she was kind of close to the pit. You're not supposed to be purposefully hurting and damaging people.
Yeah.
I think a big thing for me to learn was to just not let people that we don't know super well try to get too close. Because to me, it's like, I want this to be for everyone. I want everyone to enjoy it. And then we try to make friends in this industry. And I feel like if it's not other production managers or production teams, like you're almost speaking a different language with a lot of stuff. And I've tried to make a few friends that I tried to like inform about stuff that we were doing with Scorned and plans that we were doing with Scorned, and they just tried to turn that and use it to attack, and it's just a crazy.
Oh yeah.
You have to keep your circles small.
You have to keep your circle really, really small in this
your,
industry.
like your informational circle small.
I talked to Farhad and DJ, and that's like
Yeah.
it's like it, besides Jay.
You and Sean. Poor Sean, he hears it all.
We love you.
Sean's out to the side. He's like, yeah.
Farhad hears everything.
Yeah, like it's weird, and then you start seeing like, you start noticing that people are like, oh, I thought this was safe with you.
thought we
you know
were
what I mean?
cool.
And then again, sometimes I give people benefit of doubt sometimes where it's like, oh, okay, you didn't know. Maybe that because you don't understand, like, this is the way things work. You thought that was okay to go, tell somebody. And I'm like, okay, like, that's not a big deal. But me, I'm like, okay, I just won't talk about that. But then I've had stuff, I've had the weirdest incident was, like, someone lying about something that we did to try to get, like,
found it.
Another opportunity over here.
Ding, 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 ding.
I told you it was going to be.
All right. Yeah.
And that just, that just fucked. Yeah, I don't have to go into details.
We won't go into detail, but same.
Yeah, like it was so fucking weird to me. I'm just like, this is fucking strange.
Yeah, and I had to come
again,
through
it was like,
all
and
the
then you want to
screenshots
be cool,
and,
like.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I don't understand. I was like,
No,
this is
you
so
want to
weird.
keep
Like, I don't
sub-posting me on
understand.
Facebook for
And,
some
like,
reason.
The crazy thing is, like, I don't know if I'm too much of a like free spirit, and like
I'm a bitch.
She's the mean one of the two of us. But I don't know if it's just I'm naive after 18 years. I really don't think I am. But like we are all here and involved in the scene for all the same reasons.
Yep.
We are here for the common good, and like we want to all see the scene thrive. We want to see our bands keep getting bigger and bigger and, explode. Like, I love seeing all the bands that have made it, coming from the DFW scene.
Yep.
So when you have people who are like, not about that,
And
it's really hard for me to wrap my brain around.
It
Because, like,
comes
we
through,
are all in the same.
It comes through very, like, in an obvious way, and then you're like, oh, okay, that just doesn't align with what I'm trying to do. So, I mean, the biggest thing that, and luckily the biggest thing that we've gotten to do, like, as a team is just like, oh, like, we noticed that, cool, we're not fucking around with that. Like, a lot of stuff, like, something like, I was like, we're not, like, very, like, involved in a lot of, like, heated arguments and stuff like that, but also because of that circle being small, I go, I have plenty of people that I call, like, my friends around here, like, and then people that I work with and stuff like that. I go, but I know who I can go to bat for and who I'm like, you've been cool to me, but I don't know you like that. So, like, there's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, don't try to, like, just, like, stay out of it, but I'm like, I'm waiting to hear all my information first.
That, or it's like, not my circus, not my monkey.
A lot of that where I'm like,
really
if
not.
I don't need to involve myself, like, I don't need to. Like, I got a lot to worry about.
We're too
like,
old for this.
Yes, really? Yes, we
We're too old
are.
for
Yeah.
well, and the crazy thing to me is like, how can you, instead of just trying to be supportive for the other people in your scene, how can you sit there and try to man a one-man army or one-person army trying to fucking subpost and tear them down like we're not 30 years old and like we're not all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We all want to make music. We all want to get our music out there. Why the fuck are we not spending our time supporting each other instead of we're tearing each other down and making sub posts on fucking social media like we're 14?
That's too, like,
It's just too much.
it's too much time.
I feel like that girl, in Mean Girls, the girl who Damien's like, she doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
When she's like, I wish we could all bake a cake.
That is
Full of
you.
rainbows. That's me. That's literally me. I'm like, why can't we all just be friends? I mean, except for a couple people.
And
I don't
Regina
really
thinks I'm in love with her, and I want her to shut the fuck up.
Okay, Janice.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff is just like, cool, if I mind my own business, like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, if I work on that stuff, but.
Yeah, we got our own thing going on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And a good thing. You've been like, again, doing, like, a lot of cool stuff. what is, I mean, venue is definitely one like of, you know, goals. Like,
For sure.
is
Fuck
there
yeah.
anything else you're trying to focus on like heavier this year?
So right now, the venue and getting that kind of solidified in the next year and a half is really the main focus. But the whole thing for the venue is because we want to make a label. So Scorned, the end goal, the beginning goal, the goal the entire time has been to make Scorned Productions a label.
Okay.
And that's been since day one.
That's huge.
We don't talk about it a lot. We talk often about how we are one of the only all-femme, you know, queer presenting fronted PR companies in all of Dallas-Fort Worth. We want to do that, but with a label. You know, and we have such different tastes and such different interests. We can really get a whole spectrum of bands, not only from the entire Dallas-Fort Worth scene, Houston, Austin, extended, but the whole fucking U.S.
Well, and we
Even
also
areas
have
outside.
so many friends that I would love to employ.
Yep.
Like sound engineers and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I would love to be able to give my friends jobs.
Yep.
And ideally, I would have a studio there, and it's kind of just like an everything under one roof, like one-stop shop for bands.
We've even
basically,
been
is the
talking
goal.
about making it connected with a tattoo studio so that we can.
That's fucking cool.
I can do my piercings outside of that and not have to, you know, disconnect too much from that. I know a couple tattoo artists that I would trust very, very much to run an appointment-only shop with.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are purely looking at the future because, as you know, we have the venue, then we have everything.
Yeah.
If even if there was one more fucking venue in this area, that would help everybody out because
Yeah.
we're all so tight right now.
Yeah.
Craft and Growler, Growl, Haltom Theater, Tulips, Rubber Gloves. We're running out of fucking places. Ruins, caves.
Yeah. I mean, and sure, that's a good little list, but compared to what we used to have,
Yep.
you know,
Rest in fucking peace.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it
it's
used to be.
another venue is not going to be like a
No.
problem, like a hindrance
Not
on it.
at
And I
all.
almost
It's
feel
literally
bad for
people looking-
DJ because DJ's just turning all of his jobs into venues just to have somewhere to put bands.
It's literally like the fact that like when he was like at the post and we were throwing the shit we were
Yes.
throwing at the post.
Yep.
He was like, they said they let me, and I'm like, bro, how the fuck we have heavy Lolo at a place that looks like they should be only throwing singer-songwriter shit. Like, it's great, but we,
Oh
like
my
they
God,
let
it's
again they let us,
amazing.
they gave us free range there when we were doing it and then losing that. And I mean now they're back around, but it's not. Teacher's not working there anymore.
Nope.
But we're not taking over like a calendar there. But that's literally all we're like talking about. Like that would help
Yeah.
out so much. Again, and it's just kind of the same way where it's like not only for us, but like for everybody else who's looking, like for like all of our other friends are booking shows or
Yeah.
new people that are coming up for doing shows. That's one thing. I'll bring this up, and it's the form of like, I guess, competition. You know what I mean? I've had a few instances where it's like, I don't know, like some people approaching it with like a famine mentality. When I mean the initial talk that we're talking about is like there's so much around here that mentality is very kind of crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
because again there's so much to go around if you really want to focus it. But how do you feel your place in that, or what's your take on as far as like competition?
We don't really feel competition against anyone because we don't really give a fuck.
Again, it kind of like it's all, we're all in this doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
We don't view
It's-
anyone as competition. So you got to think about it. For me, at 18 years old, I was hanging out with Jesse and Robert and River, and that's COTC and DIE right there.
Yeah.
You know, you and I and DJ were next door neighbors for all of COVID.
Yeah.
That's two other PR companies right there. And it's kind of the main ones that are doing the DIY and local stuff right now. And so, no, dude, I don't really, it's just like getting to share one giant company with all of my friends and people that I really respect. So it's really hard to view anyone as competition when we're all wanting the same thing. Like, if you guys get a band bill that we wanted, good for you. Like, I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about
Stoked
that.
for y'all. Like,
Because that means, oh no, they get a NoiseROT show and they're going to have a great fucking time. Oh,
Yeah.
how horrible. They're going to have a professional experience with
Jealousy
letterheads and
is
everything. Like, so no, we don't have hearts like that when it comes down to it. Like, people can say what they want about me. I'm really a bitch as a front, but like,
she's a big softie.
I'm a
on the inside.
ginormous
She really
softie.
is. She's a
I'm
crybaby.
I'm a ginormous soft-hearted person, and all I care about is that people are doing what they love and they get to do it with the people that they care about. That is the only thing that matters to me at the end of the day. Like, I don't give a fuck. If people don't like me, they cannot like me. If people don't like what we're doing and they get jealous about what we're doing, that really sucks for them, because that beef one-sided, baby. Like, there's no beef over here.
Yeah. It's mostly people just like, again, the jealousy is always like, oh, you wish you were doing something like that or having as much fun. Or like, I mean, obviously for y'all too, like just the, what is it? How lucky you are just to work with your friends, like on something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I was like, you mean I get to do this with like literally like my best friends? I was like, that's awesome. Like at the end of the day, like we're doing shit that we like. Yeah, it's cool. Like we get to hang out, and at the same time we're technically working. Like I guess, you know what I mean? But
it doesn't feel like work when you have good community around you.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. And then again, like that was a big thing, because we started it really like after COVID ended, and that's when like I think it was maybe 20, I can't remember. But when we threw the Chill Sounds 2 was because DJ was like, you know what, people have like, we haven't gone to shows, and that's something we would reflect on. I mean, luckily like DJ and I lived together, like so during COVID, like we had each other. But one thing we would talk about, we're like, fuck, I haven't talked to this person in forever, because we were only talking to these people like at shows, and we would go to shows so often that we didn't have to set aside time to hang out, because we were all meeting at the same place like every week. Like we were all going to some show and we would run into each other. And then COVID happened, and it was like, I haven't seen these people in fucking ever. And then now again, like being part of like our shows or like just going to shows, I'm like, fuck, I love the feeling of like there's somebody here that I know. Like at least, and if not, like there's someone here who we're like about to like
we're gonna be friends after this.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about me also being on the band front, because like I get to play your shows. What do you mean? Like I get to do it from both ends. I get to play my company's shows. I get to play your fucking shows. I'll play shows for whatever, because
that's one thing I'm definitely jealous of. Like, I wish I was still playing. I'm like, I'd love to like just play like a show or whatever. It's not like I've stolen little like instances here and there where I'm just like I'm hopping like I pop on stage and stuff like that. But
any ideas, take them.
But yeah, no, look, I've that experience is just like, I don't know, something that I'm continuously grateful for. Even when I'm just like, even when sometimes, again, like you said, I just took a little break and I'm like, man, it's a little overwhelming sometimes, but I'm like, I still get to do this.
We're
like,
lucky.
Yeah, a lot of stuff I'm like, for example, with this podcast, I'm like, first of all, thank you, but y'all showed up here like to talk. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
How many people like get the chance to have like conversations like that aren't fleeting moments that aren't like just online or stuff like that, you know what I mean? I'm just like, this is definitely like a privilege for me, so like, I definitely thank y'all for being here.
No,
again, it's always like really fun just speaking to people, but again, like just being grateful for like what we're doing, and like both sides of like what we do, like for the music community and scene, and trying to just create like that type of community, because that was what really kind of got me through a lot, is realizing that community was like there.
It was still
people
there.
doing it. People
sure.
doing it. Yeah, people doing it to create it. And again, we're talking about back to like the newer generations coming into it. It's like what's gonna make it like these kids stick around, and like someone's gonna have to do what we're doing now, like later on. Like hopefully those people are in those crowds that we're creating, be like, hey, I wanna do this. Like I wanna throw and I've seen that, and it's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like have you guys seen anybody like either start bands or like playing their first shows with you?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
We had one at Tulips less than a month ago. And I'm not sure if it was I don't think it was their first show.
No, but they're insane.
They had played only just a handful of shows. They're still in high school. Their mom and dad drove them to the show.
Oh, wow.
They're called Unbroken Rain.
They're so
good.
They're
so
good.
They're so good.
Shit. I was like, y'all are in high school?
They like had to ask their parents permission.
Yeah.
To play the show.
We talked to them about playing the show, and they were like, hang on, let me ask my mom. Like, what?
And to be
so
that
cool.
talented,
So
and they're
cool.
so nice and genuine. And honestly, not to bring religion into any of this, but I don't give a fuck what anyone is. The fact that they have the balls at 16, 17 years old to get up on stage and write music about Christianity and God and what they believe in is bad fucking ass. And I don't care whose belief is what, because that is what they believe in, and that is what is important to them. And I think that's really, really powerful that they feel safe enough in a scene to be able to make music like that and produce music like that and still have support. Because I will say that is one thing about this scene. We are too judgmental. We are far too judgmental. We are far too hateful. We are far too pot calling the kettle on a lot of shit with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And fuck us included at times.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we're perfect and we haven't sat and passed judgments on people that we knew 10 years ago just because we expect it to be the same.
Yeah.
If people expected me to be the same person I was 10 years ago, I'd still be a drug addict. Like, let's just be honest. And I've got 8 years of sobriety under my belt.
Nice.
So, I was coming off of that when, during COVID, when I was living next door to you guys and talking to you and DJ and Bernice was so healing for me. It was so healing for me. And so getting to hear about you guys when you were first talking about doing Chill Sounds and NoiseROT, like that was healing for me and inspiring as fuck for me. And so that's a big part of why we do this as well, is because, we've seen what good you guys were able to do. And that's important. But this scene can't be so quick to judge people just on their, big differences in religion and things like that. And you can't make one person's entire identity based on one factoid.
And it's kind of what I like.
One interaction. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just don't base everything you know off of one interaction with someone or something like that. It's so counterproductive. And
we're not giving a lot of people time to flourish or blossom or create fruitful interactions or fruitful relationships because we're not even giving people a chance to talk.
Yeah.
And
but circling back to new bands that have I can't think of any more other than Unbroken Rain. I mean,
well, with Casper Flip, when they were getting
Casper Flip,
started, they had already been a band for a minute, but we started putting them on shows. And Eternal Punishment, we started putting on a lot of shows, and then we kind of watched them kick the fuck off after that.
Yeah.
And so those have both been really cool experiences. As soon as the label exists, Casper Flip, first band that we're signing.
So I'm a huge Green Day fan. I always have been since I was a kid.
Nate sounds exactly
like Billy.
I heard him here for the first time. Casper Flip. Yeah. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
So he and I both have, Nate, the vocalist of Casper Flip, he and I both have Kerplunk tattoos.
Oh, really?
And it was like an immediate, so we had booked them and I don't think they had anything online to listen to. So it was just kind of like, okay, we had a friend who was like, hey, ran into this kid from Paris, Texas,
handing CDs
and he's
out.
handing out physical CDs, and he can't get booked on a show. Will you guys please book him? And so we're like, yeah, screw it. We're having this like kind of pop punk fest. My friends in Kid Liberty headlined it that night, and so we were like, all right, throw them on as an opener, and
they were great.
They were great.
So
and then they start, and a few songs in, he plays one of my favorite
Christy
really
Road.
old Green Day songs, which is Christy Road, and it's off. I think it's either off 1039 or Kerplunk, but he starts playing that, and I'm like, what? You sound exactly like 18-year-old Billy Joe. What is happening?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like immediate click. Really cool to see them doing more and more. One of our last shows, we had Adorn, which is
so
my
good.
friend,
So
Austin.
good. You were there for
So
that one.
fucking good.
My
That's
friend
the first time I saw them.
Yeah. Austin was in so many bands growing up. He's another like OG in the Deep Ellum scene. And it was so cool to see him. And my friend Ray playing drums. Like it's really cool to see people from my past getting together in new groups and seeing what they're making and creating together. It's so cool. But Adorn is
Adorn.
love.
They're so good.
I went to that show because I was having them on the podcast the following week.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, I want to see them live. Because, the single, like, Boyer is fucking incredible. Like, it's... Which
His
I
voice
think
is
it was one of the Set Adrift
so
guys
good.
that shared it. It's probably Trey or something, which, again, another fucking awesome band. But
I love Set Adrift.
they shared that song.
I'm kidding. I love Set Adrift.
Only some of your best friends.
I love Set Adrift. Okay.
But, that was one of the bands. And it's cool. And I love the fact... that some of the bands that I'll listen to and I'm like, this is fucking great, are fucking locals. And that's what I try to like ingrain into people's fucking brains. I'm like, everyone starts like somewhere. Why can't it be the people around you?
Yes.
Yep.
And Adorn is one of them that I heard that song and I'm like, this band's been around for fucking ever. And then I looked up and it's like, there's one song here.
Yeah.
Their first show was like opening for Sales and fucking great for them. But and then talking to them, I'm like, they're fucking. And then apparently, like, I didn't know everybody in the band, but then like Kaylin's in the band, which I'm like, oh, I've talked to Kaylin before. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, another one of those bands is just like they're really fucking good. And then again, like you'll find something that you like. Again, like we all have like different examples of stuff that you like, but there's just so much talent. Again, going back to that talent pool, like there's a lot in here that do. And again, these people are starting. Some of them have been around again in other bands and projects and seasons.
I was
going to
say, not to boost the bestie again, but Backtalk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Backtalk for a second, because Backtalk has been in this for the long haul since like 2016, 17, 18.
Yeah.
Took a hiatus as hell, had pages turned, and is now like fucking killing it.
They're back in full force.
They're back in full force. And Farhad has a plan. Like,
no. I talked to them. I got a chance to talk to them on the pod, but I remember seeing when they came back, and we talked about it or whatever. But that's one of the bands that, like, when I was playing in a band, when I was playing a band called Under Oblivion, we played a lot with Backtalk, and Far was like one of my first big like band friends that I had and stuff like that. So seeing him being crazy talented again, like since I met him, and then like continuing this, and then again revamping so he gets something that he likes, and now working with Justin and what they write now, like I was like, this is the shit. I go, this is it. Dude.
Justin Mustache.
Mustache.
Yeah, fucking love Justin. I love him so much.
I'm so happy for him and Justine.
So I met Justin shooting.
Humannequin?
No, I shot.
It might have been Humannequin.
Probably back in the day, but I'm pretty sure I met him when I shot. So it's Justin, David Southern, it's Grant, Aim to Please. I did photos for them, and I met him there, and then I went to shoot Backtalk, and he was there, and I was like, wait. I was like, you're in both bands, right? Because I don't get things mixed up often. But listen, me and Set Adrift got beef, all right? No, it's not actual beef. I love them, and they, specifically Taylor, will never let me live this down. I showed up after Trey messaged me and was like, hey, I have this band, and we need promos, blah, blah, blah. I show up at that place in McKinney that looks like Italy, whatever. I can't even think of what it's called. Anyway, it's like down the street from Sanctuary, but whatever. I show up, and everybody else gets there. We start shooting, and one of the guys is like, did you get a chance to listen to us yet? And I was like, yeah. I had gone to Trey's Instagram and seen Light the Fire. And so I was like, oh, okay, Light the Fire. So I go and I listen to Light the Fire because that's the only band he has on his Instagram. And so I show up and they ask me that, and I like say a couple Light the Fire songs, and they just bust out laughing. No. And I was like, what is happening? And they were like, we're not Light the Fire. And I was like, oh, like, that has never happened to me before.
That's the funniest shit I've heard.
The first shoot that they ever had.
That's
and so they had no material out, nothing.
Yeah.
That's Trey's
I didn't
fault.
even know. It's all Trey's fault. And occasionally, Taylor freaking Halpin will text me and be like, hey, remember that one time you thought we were Light the Fire? And I'm like, shut up, Taylor. Shut up, Taylor. God. Yeah, that's a one-off. Never happening ever again. I'm doing due diligence. Every single time now. Oh my God, I'm like ruined after that.
No, any cool idea you see that I have is something Farhad's like tried to get me to do for 6 months.
Probably.
So Yandere's like secret brain is actually just Farhad yelling at me over and over again. Literally, he's like, you're not promoting enough, bro. Like, you're not making enough content, buddy. Why aren't you making content right now? Are you on your bed doing nothing? You could be making content right now. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, that's me to me.
Yeah. Seriously.
Like, you could be doing this. I'm like,
us to us.
Us to us.
How are y'all with that? Like, is that like a difficult part
No, it was kind of a natural, like, kind of like how we said that everything just kind of happened natural and organically for us. She does a lot of the photography and a lot of the original meet and greet on show days and helps get the band in their like set places and load in and things like that.
Do a lot of direction giving and stuff at the venue.
And I sit and hyperventilate over my computer and set everything up.
Basically.
So like, I sit and panic and do this and like build all of our ticket things if we have to use tickets for any reason. Yeah. I do a lot of the booking.
I do the flyers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we kind of separate, and I do a lot of the Instagram conversations. So if you're talking to somebody on Instagram,
more than likely
it's probably me.
I have like 7 Instagrams that I'm signed into right now, and it's really easy to get so confused with all of it.
Yeah.
I was
handling like part of the NoiseROT like Instagram because we were sharing because I was
so
like
much.
posting a lot of the stuff and like then we were all working on it and I'm like, you know what, DJ, I'm not gonna touch the NoiseROT one. Like I'm gonna touch like the Chill Sounds one. Like I'll just like message out of that. And
I will say
play.
Rotted Roots. Yeah, we're playing Footsie. Rotted Roots is also a really cool concept, and I remember us kind of talking about something like that a long time ago before you guys started doing it. And I hope to see more of that.
Yeah, that
I
one
really do.
we're trying to figure out a way to streamline it so it's easier to get them done. But no, that was like DJ's brainchild where he's like, I mean, it's not gonna say it's a ripoff, but I mean we were heavily inspired by Audio Tree because
Oh
we
yeah,
fucking
of
love
course.
Audio Trees.
Well,
and we're
Audio
like, that'd be
Tree,
cool
and
to
I don't
do
know
that
if you
shit.
ever saw it back in the day, but Pink Couch Sessions.
Oh,
Pink Couch Sessions were like a DIY. They would just have like this really popular indie local whatever band sit on this ginormous fucking pink couch, and they would just play the songs acoustically.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. But I love Audio Tree. You know, I love NPR, Tiny Desk.
Tiny
I love
Desk,
just the stuff that you guys are doing with it because that's something we really wanted to
Yeah.
fucking do. Was just, but it's so hard.
That's the difficult part, and we partner up, but even still, like that's one of the ones that's like, okay, this is an expense every time we do it,
Every time.
and a pretty decent one, and we're like, okay, like it sometimes we're like, what's a luxury, and then what's like this, and it sucks because like we fucking
That's
love
a
doing
luxury.
it, and again we're spending the money to do it because like we want to do it,
Yep.
Yeah.
and obviously like again it all goes back to the same thing. Oh, we want. Again, to show off these like bands and these artists that are really fucking great, like they're really fucking good, and give them like an opportunity to do something like that they don't have to worry about. Like they just come in and like do their thing and this and that.
Who are some that stick out to you?
From Rotted Roots,
Yeah.
that we did,
Or that you've just come in contact like recently.
So just some local bands
Yeah,
that you
local
guys-
bands
oh,
that
just
you're
some
into
local
that
bands.
you're like
oh
blown
man,
away by. Because we're always on the hunt over here.
Let's see who's like new ones that have come out. Oh, you know who we saw? I don't think they're new. Oh yeah, they are. They're really new that I don't remember their name because they play. Oh, Kerosene Sunset.
Oh,
Is
okay.
I think they played their first show with us. Like,
Nice.
oh,
for the new sound.
Yeah, they were
nice.
really good. They were really good. Holidays is another band.
Yeah.
Love them.
All of
Yeah.
yeah.
So Holidays is my sister band.
Really?
Yandere. Okay, so this is a funny story. And also on Saturday at Caves, we are co-headlining a show. We're co-headlining Caves' 23rd birthday.
Oh shit.
So, and that's with Casper Flip as well. So, if you, and Basics and Drifters Atlas. But yeah, Holidays and I, we shared a bassist for the first like 6-7 months of Yandere, which is my old friend Brett from middle school. And so that is their bassist. But so Damien and I talk constantly about promotion and doing content together, and like we like joke that we're sister bands all the time because we share a bassist.
That's fucking random. That's cool. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Yandere just dropped that song. not too long ago.
Yonder
Yeah,
got
you
that
guys put us on there.
echo.
I cried. We also had a Fort Worth
She did
Weekly
cry.
thing drop
She-
today.
Yeah,
She
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
She
yeah.
did cry. I will tell you.
I did cry.
Real tears. Big.
Because I didn't know
fat
that was
tears.
happening. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea you guys were doing that. And like we knew about this one. We knew about doing the local obscene podcast we did a couple days ago. I knew about Fort Worth Weekly coming out today. I didn't expect that. What?
I never tell anybody.
That was so cool.
Right? Moving the
I don't make
shadows,
any.
moving the
It's like, I don't
shadows.
make any promises. I don't let anybody. It's like nobody tells me what to put.
That meant a lot to me, OC, seriously. It was kind of cracking me up though, reading the Fort Worth Weekly like little write up on us. They called us a prog band. So
All right.
yeah, I was like, okay, I'm prog now. Like,
I had somebody.
right.
Man, someone from the Fort Worth Weekly once talked to us, and I don't think they're there anymore. And I don't, maybe they weren't even the Fort Worth Weekly, but they were saying they were, and they were doing an interview with NoiseROT. And I remember doing this whole like interview, because it was over the phone, and I was like, no one else was available, so like I did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and I talk about this, and they're like, yeah, well, like Fort Worth really only has a country scene, and I'm just like, you don't live here. And I was like, I was like, you're not from here. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you can't be writing this article about us.
Yeah.
And
What?
I'm like,
It's
what do
trying
you,
to say
what do
there's
you
only
mean?
a country scene?
Yeah, I'm like only, and I'm
there
like,
is a big ass Americana country scene out here. I'm
I mean,
not
sure,
Yeah,
we're in
not taking that
Texas,
away,
like, yeah,
But I'm just
like,
What?
I was just like, what? And I remember like doing that, and then like the questions they were asking was like somebody that like somebody that I've talked to in my life, like maybe some of my other friends that aren't in the scene or
Yeah.
aren't even like going to shows like that or anything like that, and I was like, this person doesn't feel like they like know. For someone who should be like writing an article like this, I'm like, that sounds really weird.
How are you not aware?
Yeah, and it just threw me off. It was kind of I think we ended up doing a different with somebody else, but and that one was in person. That's why I was
Probably
like,
for the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe this person didn't stick around.
This one was not in person either, and so that's why the first thing I said, it says Fort Worth's newest prog band, and I was just like, I'll take Prague. I'll take Prague. I love Rush.
God damn it.
I mean, you couldn't ask me because I don't give a fuck
about genres.
I say
think
that
it's
too, but
just
the
an
other one is because
excuse.
I cannot describe a band. I'm like, I can describe them. I like them.
Dude, we call
And I
ourselves
don't.
we say that we're meowcore because we don't
Care about genres.
Like we have some songs that lean a little more hardcore and post-hardcore. We have some songs that lean more indie
How much I
and
don't
emo.
know. You said meowcore, and I was ready to listen to what that was.
Right?
I was like, what
It
is
doesn't
meowcore?
fucking
I go,
exist.
what makes it meow?
Which is the whole reason we claimed it. Because we were like, okay, we're just denting meowcore then, because sometimes if something happens and we like have a technical error or something like that, guitar gets unplugged, I start meowing because I don't know how else to react. So that's just kind of fucking
People are just gonna start
meowcore.
walking up and unplugging everything now.
Want to hear
Meow, 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 meow.
I've actually, I've had like another band like do that and make up their own genre. I'm like, that's kind of cool as fuck because you're the only one gonna be doing that.
Yeah.
And if you see somebody else using it, you know that they got it from you. You know. What I
I
mean?
will say that it's we are thinking about making John Deere t-shirts because everyone thinks it's Yondeere, not Yandere.
That's fucking cool.
And so I'm really
John
thinking.
Deere, Yon Deere.
Yep.
Love it.
So I'm thinking about making just John Deere t-shirts that says Yandere on top of it and it having the phonetic spelling of Yandere on the
Yeah.
back of the fucking shirt because I'm so tired of getting called Yondeere.
John Deere.
John Deere.
That's probably how
Yeah.
my mom would pronounce it.
That's how most
Heavily
people's moms
Hispanic.
have pronounced it.
John Deere.
Yondeere.
That's her trying to. That's her trying to say John Deere.
We have a family friend,
Yeah.
and bless her, she is the sweetest thing, but her accent is so thick, and my favorite thing that she says, and she sent me a video so I can just play it on repeat if I so choose. She says Vicks Vapor Rub in the funniest way I've ever
Vicks
heard.
Vaporub?
Vicks Vaporub.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, Selena. All right, Vicks Vaporub.
Vicks
Got it.
Vaporub,
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah. And so she sent me a
I
video.
love that you knew exactly.
I know exactly where it's coming from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like her party trick.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I love it. But yeah, it's so funny.
No, there's a ton of crap. There's a ton of stuff that I've said. I wish I could. I'm gonna draw a blank here, but because I try to correct myself after the fact. But there's a lot of stuff I grew up with my mom saying it a certain way,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now I've
Yeah.
always called it that, and then it was like that's like not the word
Not
at
how
all.
you say
Yeah. There's a
It's
lot
like
of shit. I'm
how
like,
I say
oh.
pillow apparently really fucks everyone up for some reason.
What word are you trying to say?
I hate you.
What?
Pillow.
Oh.
What do you say?
Pillow.
Oh,
Pillow.
Hello.
What the fuck is
Hello.
wrong with how I say it? That's
Say it again.
Hello.
Pillow.
Can I have a
Okay.
hello?
Pillow.
It's like you're pronouncing it Pellow. Pillow.
I hear like an E. Pillow.
Yeah,
Pillow.
pillow.
P-E-L-O.
Is that
Pillow. Like a pill.
pillow?
Pillow.
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 You see what I mean? That's what I was saying. Like pillow.
It ain't right. It ain't right.
It ain't right. There.
It's the organ that I was raised in coming out. All right.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely working with a lot of cool people. You guys are doing a lot of cool shit. Have a great mentality behind it. And I definitely love seeing what y'all do. And even talking to y'all, like, helps kind of just hype me up, too. And be like,
Yeah.
oh, I just want to do cooler stuff, too.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for making it here.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to talk about anything y'all have coming up? Like, or plug in anything?
You want to
We
whip
wrap
out
up?
your.
I saw you. You came
had your-
prepared with your iPad, with the notes.
We have so many dates coming up.
My Neon Genesis background.
And we're also trying to, so we both have friends outside of DFW who are trying to play DFW, and we have friends inside of DFW who are trying to play outside of DFW. So we're trying to facilitate all of these people going in all these different directions. I have friends from Oklahoma who want to come down, and friends that we're going to send up there to go play some shows. And listen, Oklahoma hardcore, they
on
got
something
something
over
in
there.
the water in Oklahoma.
Ain't nothing to do up there, but
Oh my God. Oh my God. Eyeless, Kemper Temper. Those are two of my favorites. I don't think Kemper Temper are playing shows anymore though, which sucks. They're incredible.
I will say that two things cool that we do have coming up that are not listed yet but are on the books are 6/29 at Rubber Gloves. We will be hosting another trans fundraiser in Pride Month, and that is also going to go right back to
Pride Denton.
And
A Pride and Outreach
for Denton
are combining into one company.
and so that's something we're doing. And then 10/25 at Growl on my 30th birthday is going to be Scorn's second anniversary show.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
So, and I'm also going to be fucking 30. So
Just worry about the anniversary. You're
Yeah,
2.
yeah,
You're turning 2.
anniversary.
we're turning
Yeah.
2. Maybe 2. And then, like I said, Yandere this weekend has a show at Caves. This is going to come out way after that show happens, but
It was great.
Fine. It was a
But
great
great.
show.
It was so
show.
good.
Fantastic show.
We did get to open for Death by Romy.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was sick.
That was sick. Yeah.
I ended up so I asked Charlie if there was a possibility that they needed an opener. It was a maybe. Then I sent Romy my demo and was like, I don't know if you're gonna see this, but can you just please God? And she did, and she liked us, and so like I have her phone number now. We get along super well.
so
She was just texting the Scorn page earlier, or messaging the Scorn page earlier, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Romy, like, there she is." Yeah, and I mean, who knows where I'll be next week with my camera.
Yeah.
At this point, I got to go to LA back in February, and
Corn and Gojira
Corn and
last
Gojira
October.
back in October.
Mr.
But
Bungle.
I've got some cool stuff photo wise coming out that I can't talk about. I told you about, but I can't talk about.
You can't talk about it, but I will. So, no, just kidding.
I mean,
Turn that shit off.
it's being teased already, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the next few days. But if it's not, then I'll just tell you, hey, cut that.
Sure.
Botch, one of the greatest bands on the face of the planet. You can't convince me otherwise. They had their last 2 shows ever at Showbox in Seattle last April, and I was very blessed enough that I got to photograph their last 2 nights and do their last promos and hang out, and I love them, and they're amazing people, and they're releasing a live LP from those 2 shows, and they're using my photos in the album art. So
Yep.
I'm super excited for that.
Yep.
And then just friends that come through town. I just shot for my friends in Silverstein last week and hanging out,
Just casually, friends.
just
of
shooting
Silverstein.
friends, shooting friends in the face with my cannon. Oh, I'm getting felt up.
I was
I was like,
girl,
let's go.
grab my knee.
handsy. But yeah, it's always fun doing podcasts. I love doing interviews and stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
Talking about all the weird and wonderful things us girls get up to.
I was about to say, I'm trying to think what other cool things we have.
I know.
We have a bunch of shows coming up. Fervence. Cut that. But
Fervence?
Fervence is coming to town May 31st. Is going to be at Rubber Gloves. Yandere is playing that one. And then we also have Out of Sight and Stranger on May 29th, also at Rubber Gloves. But
So
we love
excited.
bringing Stranger out anytime
Yes.
that we get an opportunity
Yeah,
to.
Stranger's fucking sick.
Yeah,
Stranger is
Stranger
great.
are a band that I have had my sights on from like the first time I saw them. I saw them at a Haltom thing. I think it was like Bacon Fest or something, And so I saw them and I was like, okay, all right, I want to book this band. And I talked to them, and we've had them on a couple shows prior to this, and got them back, and yeah, they're fantastic band.
And then I have one other secret in the hatch, and I don't know if we're going to announce it yet, but Josie from Out of Sight and I have a side project. We started a downbeat hardcore project a couple months ago now.
Oh, shit.
That's
Yeah.
dual vocalist called Ball and Chain. It's all femme, trans femme, queer femme. It's pretty fucking good.
It's sick as fuck. It is sick as fuck.
It's pretty good. And
Yeah.
Josie and I are having a lot of fun with it. We've got Bree from Omnimorph in it, as well as Emily from Mattress Thrower. Mattress Thrower.
Mattress throw up.
but-
Mattress throw up.
It's coming out. But so it's pretty fucking cool, and we're just purely writing old DB, like old 2-step, just very
Hell yeah.
original 2-step.
Love it.
Moving the
That
room type
nasty
shit.
shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
But I think that's all of our big coming up
I think
things.
so. Yeah. That we can say. Yeah.
We can't see. All right. Well, again, thank you for stopping by. If y'all ever need help with anything, definitely let
Right
us
back
know.
at y'all,
Absolutely.
for sure.
And yeah, I appreciate everything you're doing for the community and the scene. And can't wait to see what more cool shit you guys get up to.
Right back at you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. This has been episode 141 with Jay and Steffi from Scorned Productions. We'll see you next time.
I don't wanna be alone tonight.